You're probably manually checking if keys exist in a dictionary, just like a junior engineer. So let's say that we want to build out a set of counts for each item in a list here. It's pretty common to first check and see if the item exists in a dictionary. If not, we pre-assign it a value. Otherwise, we go on to add an additional count. But this isn't ideal for a few reasons. First, it's just very verbose. As you can see here, it takes up multiple lines of code just to add a count to every single item. Next is it's pretty error prone because if you don't actually check, then you will run into a key error if the item doesn't exist before you add a value to it. And finally, overall, it's just inefficient. So for each iteration, you have to check for the key's existence before you can even handle the case manually. A more senior approach is to actually use the Python default dict value. So if we try to do the same logic here, we can do so, but all we have to do is define a default dict where each field has a default type of an integer. And as we're iterating through the items in the list, we can just go on and safely add the one to each count without having to do the manual check. And this is obviously much better because it's a lot cleaner. You're not doing the manual checks. It's pretty automatic in terms of initializing each key because it already has a type, so you don't have to go on and do it yourself. And overall, it's a lot more readable. So compared to the code above, where we have multiple lines of code and an iteration, we can just do everything in one single line here within this iteration. So this is a lot cleaner and a lot better for handling type safety. As a quick bonus, I also want to show that you can actually use custom default values, so it's not limited to just an integer. So in this case, we can build out a default set of list, and we can go on to add anything that we want to each list without having to initialize it. And this is a lot more graceful than you having to build out your own list itself. So go on and use default dict and be a senior engineer because